49er fans? Welcome into the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show. My name is Chris Sylvester, your host, here on a Friday night on Spreaker.com, an affiliate of National Sports. Long Beach State, big win on Wednesday against the Fullerton Titans. We'll talk about that game as well as take a look ahead to the game tomorrow against UC Riverside and the Highlanders at home, as well as a special guest, only our second special guest since being in existence, should I say, as the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show. But Adam Morrison, a writer from the blog Adam Morrison Crying, a college basketball blog, a mid-major analyst, a college basketball analyst, whatever you want to call him. His name's Cam Newton, and he's not the quarterback in the NFL. He's not the quarterback in the NFL, but he's a college basketball analyst. He will join me in the final segment of our show to kind of discuss the term mid-major. And I know we've done that on the show before by myself, but I want to get a second opinion. I want to really get deep into what separates a mid-major from a team in a Power 6 conference. You know, we have Gonzaga as the number 5 team in the nation as we speak in the AP poll, and if another team goes down in the top 5 other than Gonzaga this upcoming weekend, we could see Gonzaga shift into a 2 or 3 spot. So obviously, you know, mid-major hoops having itself a good year with teams like Creighton and Wichita State and Butler and VCU. So certainly we will talk a lot about mid-major hoops and how Long Beach State can better itself and become an elite mid-major out there, because, you know, we had the 4 horsemen the last 4 years that put us back on the map, put Long Beach State men's basketball back on the map. Now that we're back on the map, we rebuilt with an influx of Power 6 conference, major basketball, college basketball players, and it's led us to, once again, first place so far in the Big West Conference. So all that coming up later. Right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. 30 seconds, we'll be back, and we'll recap the Long Beach State 20-point win against the rival Titans. You're listening to the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show here on Spreaker.com, an affiliate of National Sports. We'll see you in 30 seconds.
The world knows you don't get money. What I do. You don't get them girls loose. You don't get the world loose. You don't get money. What I do.
I say y'all having a good time out there.
What's up, 49er fans? I told you, 30-second commercial break. Not that long. Welcome back into the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show here on Spreaker.com, an affiliate of National Sports. Chris Sylvester here with you, as always, on the show. Long Beach State, after a 20-point win on national TV, ESPNU, on Wednesday, improving to 15-9 in the Big West, 15-9 overall, 11-2 in the Big West Conference, defeating the rival, disappointing Fullerton Titans, who fall to 12-12 on the regular season, 5-7 in Big West play. Before we talk about the game, you know, we had DJ Seeley, Fullerton's best player, go down with an injury. So, you know, they are our rival. We might not like them all that much, but you certainly, no matter what sports matchup you're having or anything in sports, you certainly never wish injury on another player. So definitely hope that DJ Seeley gets better, because he is truly a premier player here in the Big West Conference. And it's, when you look up and down the standings in the conference this season, we obviously all know that the Big West Conference is a lot stronger than it has been in years past. It's a lot more balanced. It's not really that all of a sudden, you know, Big West teams just started having good years this season. I mean, it's taken time for these programs to build themselves, and you know, we've seen real talent that could go on and play at the next level in the NBA in this league. We obviously have James Ennis on Long Beach. We got the three-headed monster, oh my goodness, Kwame Vaughn, DJ Seeley, Sammy Yeager for the Titans. We got Big Al Williams up in Santa Barbara, Chris Eversley just up the freeway a bit at Cal Poly. We have some fantastic young players at Cal State Northridge, Vander Joachim, Christian Stan Hardinger, two great big men over in Hawaii. We also have the amazing guard Corey Hawkins up at UC Davis, as well as Lorenzo McLeod running the point over at Pacific. Can't forget about the emergence of young players at UC Irvine, such as Will Davis II and Damon Starring. So you really have to realize that the Big West Conference is just so much stronger this year, and to come out and get a 20-point victory against a team that was coming into the game was 4th in the nation as scoring and holding them to 65 points is absolutely incredible, considering the fact that the 2 games before this, Long Beach's defense had been atrocious, and really for the better part of the season atrocious. Long Beach was able to hold Fullerton 9 from 28 from beyond the 3-point line and 24 for 68 on field goals for the game. So, yeah, this was a fast-paced game. It was a 42-36 game at halftime, 43-29 game in the second half. We knew it was going to be a fast-paced game with these kind of athletes on the floor, but did we really think that Long Beach was going to hold Fullerton to 65 points? I don't think so, because like I said, I mentioned the three-headed monster and Vaughn, Sealy, and Yeager earlier, but really Fullerton was never able to get it going outside of the start of the second half when they were able to catch the 49ers at 46, but then Long Beach State went on a 13-0 run and pretty much silenced any chance that Fullerton had of winning the ball game. James Ennis, the first player in college basketball this season with 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 steals. Sure, it's a little bit of a stretch of a stat, but it's still something that was recognized by ESPN, and it's always going to be recognized by ESPN as a mid-major, especially if you're Long Beach State. Other notables, Dan Jennings had 12 points and 5 rebounds. Tony Freeland, his first double-double as a 49er, 13 and 12. And Keala King chipped in with 10. Peter Papageorge, 12 off the bench. Got to see Gate Juma in the game for the 49ers. Certainly is a fine young player that hasn't seen all that much time. Comes in usually at the end of games, whether it's a blowout or Long Beach is getting blown out, like we saw early on in the non-conference schedule and over in Hawaii. But good young player, good young post player. Probably could put on a couple more pounds, as could a couple other smaller players on this team to really get to the next level. But I think he's a gem, a silent gem that we'll see contribute to this program in a couple of seasons. Because after next season, you got Freeland, Jennings, and Richardson all hitting the door, and you know it's hard recruiting good post players. You know, we got to see one of the best post players in college basketball, T.J. Robinson, dominate the last 4 seasons, but the only reason he came here, frankly, was because of his friendship with Larry Anderson. You know, we found T.J. Robinson all the way out in West Haven, Connecticut. So hopefully Juma and Shepard, for that fact, can really step up once these juniors and seniors, these upperclassmen, are gone in the next couple of years for Long Beach State. But we obviously don't want to look that far ahead. But once again, just a great overall game from James. Big game James Ennis, 26-15, 4 steals, the signature transition dunk, hit a couple of threes, just really showed his whole repertoire on national TV. And I think it was the same announcers, at least one of them was, if not both, than when Long Beach played Santa Barbara with that weird 9 p.m. tip-off a couple weeks ago. That game, Long Beach won 57-55, kind of a snoozer of a game. Not really good college basketball. But nonetheless, Long Beach came out and perhaps wowed a couple people that had only seen Long Beach play with their full team, per se, against Santa Barbara last week. So good performance on national TV. Long Beach out rebounding the Titans 47-28. we expect that, though, because Fullerton doesn't have a man dressed over 6'7" on their roster, and as we expected, as what it happened last time in Fullerton, even without Dan Jennings, even more of a separation this time. Out-rebounded by 19 were the Titans, and didn't really force themselves into that many turnovers, but Long Beach was able to get 5 blocks on the smaller team from Fullerton. So certainly just another good game. Not really a complete game, I would say, because there were times when Long Beach kind of seemed like they did things that were unnecessary, like Kayala King turned the ball over 5 times. A lot of it was just trying to be too fancy with the handle and leading out to easy transition buckets for the Titans. So not wanting to talk about the negatives in this game at all, because it was a 20-point victory over a team that, frankly, like I said earlier, has been just a disappointment here in the Big West Conference. But it's also a team that's capable of throwing up 90 points at you on any given night. So certainly good to see the defense playing a little bit better, and obviously the offense has really been clicking lately for the Long Beach State 49ers. And it's scary because Chris Gully, Dang Dang, and Kayala King haven't even gotten their jump shot working yet, or at least lately, because Kayala King's never shot more than 35% as a college player from beyond the arc. And although that's a pretty good percentage, we can't really expect this guy just to come out nailing 3 after 3 after 3, even if it looks like he makes every single one in shoot-around. Same thing with Chris Gully and Dang Dang. These guys are the epitome of hot and cold shooting. When these guys are on, they can't miss. When these guys are off, they can't make one single basket. One thing, and they're both young. Chris Gully, a sophomore, Dang Dang, a freshman. But something you have to learn as a college basketball player throughout your career is that you have to learn how to find a happy medium, per se. Because when Dang Dang and Chris Gully aren't hot from beyond the arc, they just become nonnities out on the floor. They become, I don't want to say useless, because you can always use those guys down low to get rebounds every once in a while and create shots for other players and get blocks as well. But these guys simply have to find their shot, or at least not be so hot and cold with it, because you don't know what kind of night it is until they get up 2 or 3 shots, and if they're all misses, those are wasted possessions. But if they're all put in the bucket, then all is well. But obviously they are going to develop, and I really believe that Gully and Dang Dang by the year 2014, 2015 will just be absolute lights out shooters. But it's scary that if these guys can get on a rhythm, as well as Papa George can stay on his and the starting lineup can do what it did against Fullerton, this team can put up 90 plus points a game in the Big West Conference. So is it going to happen every night like this? No, but it's good to see that this team had a nice little breakout game, and hopefully, unlike last time they had their little breakout game against UC Irvine, hopefully this time they can maintain that as they play a team that's 5-19 and 2-10 in Big West play. That would be UC Riverside. And when we get back, we will preview that game, as well as take a look down the Big West Conference standings. Can you believe that there is only 3 home games left and 6 more games left in the regular season. This season has just absolutely flown by. It's just mind-boggling. But when we get back, we'll talk about Long Beach Riverside. To listen to the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show here on Spreaker.com, an affiliate of National Sports. Stay with us.
Can you blow my whistle, baby, let me know. Girl, I'm gonna show you how to do it, and we start real slow. You just put your lips together and you come real close. Can you blow my whistle, baby, here we go.
Welcome back into the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show, folks. My name is Chris Sylvester, your host. Long Beach State tomorrow hosting UC Riverside, the last Saturday home game of the regular season. We talked about it before that quick little 30-second break that we have here on Spreaker.com. But it's just, it feels like just a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, we were opening up the season not knowing what the heck to expect from the Casper Ware list, TJ Robinson list, Eugene Phelps list, Larry Anderson list, Edis Diversevic list, Long Beach State 49er team. And it just seems like not that long ago we were opening against North Alabama and we kind of shook our heads after that win. And then we went to USC and turned the ball over almost 20 times and looked terrible. Came back for the biggest game in Pyramid history against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Win on the road, got smothered at Arizona, and then picked up 2 straight W's against Fresno and LMU on the road before coming back and just putting out a disappointing performance at home against Fresno. They got their payback. And then just getting smashed on the road by Syracuse and Ohio State. Getting a D2 win at home against BYU Hawaii. And then losing on the road, the last game without Kayala King and Tony Freeland against the Bruins. And then, of course, conference play, 11-2. Can't be too disappointed. But it's just absolutely flown by. It's my favorite sport to watch. And, you know, I love sports in general, but it's going to be a sad day when the season ends. But, hey, you know, we can't think about that. We got to cherish every single moment of this team and guys like James Ennis and Peter Papageorge, who, after this season, we're never going to see play in a Long Beach State uniform again. So definitely something to think about there. But, hey, can't look too far ahead because anything can happen on any given night in college basketball, and UC Riverside's visiting the Mid tomorrow. A 4 p.m. start at the Mid. I know I'll be there, as I have been at all the home games this season. And, you know, Long Beach with that 20-point victory over Fullerton shouldn't be any different against a worse team in UC Riverside, but it probably will be just because of the fact that I haven't seen this team put up back-to-back solid performances this season. Yes, they've had back-to-back wins. I mean, they've had winning streaks. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about back-to-back wins, pummeling opponents that you should pummel. UC Riverside is a team that is 2-10 in Big West Conference play and has an RPI around 330. Lost to a D2 team. Only thing I really have to say about this game is that you're probably not going to be able to dominate the inside as well as you did against Fullerton, because Riverside is a team that, with size, Chris Patton's an absolutely excellent forward. Really, I give praise to him on this show because I am a fan of his. Didn't really know him until Long Beach played him earlier this season, but after watching a couple other Riverside games, you know, this guy's just an absolute beast on the inside, averaging 13.3 points per game, 5.5 rebounds. Certainly, those aren't really eye-popping stats, but I mean, this guy, he's just a big man, and he can contain Dan Jennings and Tony Freeland inside, but it's just a matter of ball movement for the 49ers on Saturday against UC Riverside. Now, last time Long Beach went to the SRC in Riverside, and it took them overtime to beat the Highlanders. This time, the team's just better, and are the 49ers. And, I think after that win, they're going to come up in this game with their heads high and pull out another double-digit victory against the Highlanders. Do we want that to be another 20-point victory? Absolutely, but is it a guaranteed 20-point victory? Not exactly, because, it's the Big West Conference. It's Long Beach State basketball this season. What team are we going to get? And all I have to say is that as long as this team continues its good ball movement and its offense that it's showcased the last 5 halves they've played, then Long Beach should have absolutely no. I'm not going to throw out the possibility of losing because, Long Beach, there's no reason why Long Beach should even lose this game or even have that in their minds, because, you can't. And every game against these bad Big West teams, it's frankly a must-win because your RPI just gets pummeled, and if you make the NCAA tournament, it probably sucks you back into a play-in game with another 16 seed. So certainly, I think Long Beach will win this game pretty easily, but you never know. 4 p.m. start on a Saturday. This team could come out a little bit lackadaisical. Don't mean to knock any fans or the university or anything, but what kind of attendance are we really going to get 4 o'clock on a Saturday against UC Riverside? Now, a lot of fans might have watched the game against Fullerton and said, hey, wow, what a great team, let's go watch the game Saturday because they play at home. But I really hope that the marketing department and whoever sets this stuff up in the athletic office really has learned from these 4 p.m. start times this year. Not a big fan of them because, as humans, Saturdays are our day to just do stuff. And, we have plans sometimes in the middle of the day, and I've had to cancel many plans to make it to these 4 o'clock games. But, hey, I've been there for my team the whole way, and that's how it's going to be, hopefully, for the coming years for Long Beach State and the loyal fans like you and me. Because I know if you're listening to this show, you're probably a pretty big Long Beach State fan, as well as myself. So certainly we hope Long Beach can pull out that victory tomorrow against the Highlanders of UC Riverside. I think they will. Not much insight to give, like I said, because it's UC Riverside, a 5-19 team. There's no reason why this game should even be close, but it might. And it all depends on what Long Beach State team shows up, but there's no doubt in my mind that Long Beach will win this game. When we come back, we'll have Cam Newton from Adam Morrison Crying, the sportsrants.com blog. He'll talk with us about mid-major basketball and how Long Beach State in the near future can become an elite mid-major. Be in the conversation with Butler, Gonzaga, Wichita State, Creighton. All that and much more when we come back to the Long Beach State men's basketball show here on Spreaker.com.
Yeah. What's that on that beat? Oh.
I'm different, yeah, I'm different. I'm different, yeah.
What's up, 49er fans? Welcome back into the Long Beach State men's basketball show here on Spreaker.com, an affiliate of National Sports. And as promised, we welcome in Cam Newton of the blog Adam Morrison Crying, a college basketball analyst. I know he does a lot of stuff concerning the LMU Lions, who Long Beach State defeated earlier this season. LMU having somewhat of a down year in the WCC, but nonetheless, Adam stays with LMU and covers them over on Twitter. You can follow him at Adam Morrison Crying. But Adam, welcome to the show. Thanks a lot for joining.
Oh, nice to be here again.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about the term mid-major. And, over the last decade or so, the term mid-major has been used a lot more. We have bracket busters that have been dedicated to mid-major teams. We even have a mid-major top 25. But in your mind, what separates a mid-major team like Gonzaga from teams out of the Power 6 conference like the ACC, SEC, Big East, Big 10, Big 12, and Pac 12?
Well, the thing about mid-majors is that, obviously, like you said, they don't come from power conferences, so their records are obviously a lot better. But in the past years, teams like, Gonzaga and Butler both have done so well, especially Gonzaga. I think they're the ultimate example of a mid-major turning into a power conference team just because of how well they performed against big teams. But what really defines a mid-major is their conference status, especially when they're good in a conference that has lots of not-so-good teams, but it's still not a very small conference. If you want to, like for example, the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Missouri Valley Conference has, anything can happen on any given night in the Missouri Valley Conference. We've seen Creighton and Wichita State fall out of the top 25 because, Missouri Valley Conference teams have just straight up gone in there and knocked them down. But, over here at Long Beach State, we had a group of 4 seniors and it took them 4 years, but they finally got to the NCAA tournament, got some wins over ranked teams last season, really put them on the map, got a lot of publicity last year, which led to a lot of TV games this year. Obviously, Long Beach State, not the same team they were last year. Their RPI's over 100. They're not in the top 25 in the mid-major poll. They are receiving a couple of votes, if you want to throw that out there. But, they did get big-time transfers from Arizona State and DePaul and West Virginia, all players that were inserted into the starting lineup at the start of conference play. Tyler Lamb, as you know, transferring from UCLA to Long Beach State, he'll be eligible come second semester next season. But I know you don't really cover Long Beach State in a world of so many teams. Long Beach State, not exactly a big team in the national eye when we're talking about college basketball. But I mean, based on what you know, does this team sound like it's headed in the direction that they can possibly become a team like Gonzaga or St. Mary's or Creighton in the near future?
Well, like you just mentioned about all the transfers that LBSU just received, obviously transfers from these big schools like UCLA, they go a long way because these are players that were recruited by these big schools, so obviously they're good. The only difference, they're just not getting playing time there, so here's where they come to LBSU, for example. And also, the big thing, I think, too, is, location. Long Beach State, they've got a pretty easy pitch to recruits, too. If you want to come out to California, I think a lot of recruits would much rather go there than, the mid-heart of the United States heartland, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. But, another thing I wanted to talk about is, like I was saying with Long Beach State, you had the influx of transfers, you had the fantastic recruiting class that played together for 4 seasons. What solidifies a mid-major team as an elite mid-major team? Is it runs in the NCAA tournament like we've seen with Gonzaga and VCU and Xavier, or is it just regular season success and knocking off ranked teams, kind of like we've seen from Creighton and Wichita State?
I think it's a combination of both. Like, for example, Gonzaga, they were one of the biggest Cinderella stories of all time. Getting to Elite Eights and Sweet 16s and stuff like this obviously goes a long way because that's the stuff people pay attention to more than other stuff, I think. Especially people that don't follow college basketball that much, they still watch March Madness. And when they see a small team like Gonzaga getting to the Elite Eight, that sticks to them and they'll hear Gonzaga more, and it'll become more like a household name and stuff for them, and that's what makes them more elite as a mid-major like Butler. For example, Butler getting to 2 straight NCAA championship games. that now everybody knows the term Butler Bulldogs, which was for the basketball fan that didn't follow it very well, probably didn't know too much about that team before then. So I think there's that goes along with it that really helps expand them, and that exposure, that national exposure that comes with that really helps to solidify your eliteness, I guess you'd say.
You talk about national exposure, Bracket Busters, the Ramada Worldwide Bracket Busters, in its final season, ESPN discontinuing the event after this season. But you have a team like Long Beach State that gets Stephen F. Austin, came in at number 10 in the mid-major top 25s this past week. They're 21-2 in the regular season with an impressive win on the road at Norman against Oklahoma. Both these teams are positioning themselves very nicely by the looks of it right now to win their conference and win their conference tournament. But let's say, and both, I don't think either of these teams are really have a chance at an at-large. But as far as seeding goes in the NCAA tournament, let's say Stephen F. Austin and Long Beach State both do go dancing this season. I mean, how can a bracket buster like this possibly look in the eyes at a selection committee? Because, if you're Long Beach State and you knock off Stephen F. Austin, which makes the NCAA tournament, how might it factor into what seed the teams get, or will it not affect the seeding at all?
Since, I think it would obviously affect it more for Long Beach than it would for Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin winning, they're still beating just another team from the Big West. But if LBSU could win, they obviously need some kind of win against a good team. I mean, with their losses to all their opponents that they've played that are big, where they have these opportunities to win big games, Syracuse, Ohio State, UCLA, North Carolina, Arizona, and USC, they lost all of those games, especially to a very weak USC team. So I think a win like that would really help them, but I still don't think it would determine much on their seeding wise, because they're still that Big West team that I don't think that's just coming from a conference that won't really have more than one bid, in my opinion.
Adam, or Cam, real quick before we let you go here, are there any mid-major teams that you really feel can make a run at a Final Four this season? We've had teams in the past like Butler and VCU and Xavier and George Mason in recent memory make deep runs in the NCAA tournament. Are there any couple teams that you think can make those kind of runs this season?
If I had to pick one team that I think would do that, I would probably have to pick Gonzaga. They're currently number 5 in the nation. They lost to Butler by a point. They hung with Illinois till at the end, losing by 11. They just blew out St. Mary's the other night, as you watched on ESPN2. They beat Oklahoma State by a point. They beat Kansas State. They've beaten so many good teams. They have the strength. They have the players. Kelly Olynyk is just doing very well for them. And so is Kevin Pangos as well. This team, it will not surprise me if they run the table in the West Coast. I fully expect them to get to Sweet 16, maybe Final Four. Depends on their bracket, quite honestly, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the past couple weeks, we've had Joe Lenardi's bracketology, probably not going to be accurate, at least in all the games. Or we know for sure he's not going to be accurate in all the games, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what teams might get what seed and what matchup. And for the past couple of bracketologies, Long Beach State has been matched up as a 15 seed against number 2 Gonzaga. Obviously, that probably won't happen, but if it does, certainly it would be an interesting game. Dan Munson playing his old team, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. But hey, Cam, thanks very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And where can we follow you at on Twitter?
I think mine is just Adam Morrison crying is the best. I need some more exposure on that one. I only got 169 followers, so we need what we can get.
Yeah, we understand. It's hard to get something up and running, but that's what we're kind of trying to do with this show, and trying to give you a little bit of exposure as well. But hey, thanks a lot for coming on and giving your insight on mid-major hoops.
Thanks, anytime. Good luck to you guys.
All right, thank you. That was Cam Newton from the blog Adam Morrison Crying. You can follow him at Twitter, as he just mentioned, at Adam Morrison Crying. Good insight on mid-major hoops, and as well as Long Beach State and their possibilities, perhaps, if they get to the NCAA tournament, which we all hope so much. Real quickly before we wrap up the show, always got to go down the Big West standings. Long Beach State 11-2 in first. Pacific 8-4, back to 2.5 back in the conference. Hawaii 9-5 after getting pummeled once again at UC Davis. Every team other than Long Beach State in the Big West Conference has been the epitome of inconsistent. Pacific has lost games to Pauley and Santa Barbara. Obviously, at Pauley, not so bad of a loss, you could say. But they lost at Santa Barbara. Hawaii, after rattling off 5 straight wins, comes down and just lays an egg up at UC Davis. Cal Poly, although they're 7-5 in conference, they're still a 5-loss team in the Big West. UC Irvine, the epitome of inconsistent, 7-6. UC Davis, we've seen them look like a big-time threat, and we've seen them look like the UC Davis team from years past. Cal State Fullerton, real disappointment at 5-7. UCSB competed with just about everybody in conference play, but a mere 4-8. Cal State Northridge 4-10 after having such a strong non-conference campaign. And of course, you got UC Riverside, who Long Beach faces tomorrow at the Pyramid, 2-10 in conference play. But hey, even them, they have battled a lot of teams in the Big West, home and away. Thanks for listening to the show, everybody. My name is Chris Sylvester, and I'm out.